Guys, welcome to another episode of Hot Mic. I'm your host, Dennis Nicholson, and here today I'm doing a literal ranking today. I am ranking basically top 5 of each position. But only today I'm going to be focusing on one position, and that is the quarterback. You see 5 quarterbacks right here in my background. I'm going to go break down by each ranking from number 5 to number 1. Now, eventually I will be doing a 45 quarterback ranking, which means I rank all 45 starting quarterbacks for the Dallas Cowboys. Still working on that one. I still got some things I got to polish out, but that video will eventually be released, and I can't wait for you guys to watch it. But for right now, we're going to settle for the top 5, to me, the top 5 quarterbacks. Now, I don't always base this off statistics. I base this off their importance and what they have. Statistically, if we had to say who obviously was statistically the best quarterback, it would be actually Tony Romo. Tony Romo is actually the number 1 quarterback in touchdowns, passing yards, and I think he actually has one of the fewest interceptions out of the starting quarterbacks. So yes, Romo statistically is the best quarterback, but we don't always base that off statistics. We base that off leadership. Did they take the Cowboys to the playoffs? What was their importance and emphasis? Were they a good leader? What made them be the quarterback? Well, more to say, the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. So, anyway, let's get right into the ranking. One on this list I know is going to be a controversial one. A lot of people probably don't know who this guy is. And this is a guy that I think deserves a lot more recognition than I think he deserves, and that is Eddie LeBron. Now, a lot of people may not know that name. A lot of people, when they associate with the Cowboys in the 60s, they associate with names like Don Meredith, and Don Meredith is just one of the biggest ones that come to mind. But a lot of people associate Don Meredith as me. Even as a kid, I associated Don Meredith of being the first ever Dallas Cowboy quarterback, that he was the first starting Dallas Cowboy quarterback. That's actually not the case. In 1960, when it was our first year formed, the first actual quarterback was actually number 14, Eddie LeBron. Eddie LeBron started in 10 games. And then Don Meredith started in 2, and then I think Don Henrich is his name, started I think in 1 game, 1 whole game. But Don Meredith was not the original quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. So obviously, if you do look at his statistics, he's not statistically the most flashing quarterback. He's actually on the list, number 10 of all time in the ranking for stats. He obviously did not have a good winning record, but obviously I can't completely hold that against him. You got to remember, this was around the time he started, like, I think 3 to 4 full seasons as the Dallas Cowboys started. I think it was barely 3 as the Dallas Cowboys starting quarterback. And this was around the time when the Cowboys were horrible. They were an expansion team. There was just no talent with that team. So for Eddie LeBron, after what 2022, it's been over 62 years that he is still the number 10 all-time Dallas Cowboy is mind-boggling. You would think, like, all these other quarterbacks. Now, granted, like, obviously, there's only been, like, 45 known starting quarterbacks for the Dallas Cowboys, which, I mean, start in a game. But to be in number 10 and for him to be the first Dallas Cowboy, and to definitely have some very shining moments, but also did have very bad moments. But I think Eddie LeBron deserves a lot more name. I love Don Meredith. Don Meredith is easily a top 10 quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys by far. But I'm sorry, I just feel like, I gotta shout out my boy Eddie LeBron. I think he deserves a lot more recognition than he gets. And I'm done with the Don Meredith train. I'm giving it all to Eddie LeBron now. So that is my number 5. Now, I already know people are gonna rip me apart. Some people debate where Romo ranks. And yes, Romo is statistically, as I said, the best quarterback. There's no denying that. He's number 1. He is definitely proven to be the best quarterback statistically for the Cowboys. But I just don't think his statistics hold up to him being number 1. There is multiple things that holds him back from being number 1. One of the biggest ones is consistency. And I'm not talking about consistency for like playing, when I mean by playing like for like throwing touchdowns and throwing interceptions. He was very consistent with that. Injuries. He couldn't stay on the football field. And I think if Romo had been a lot more healthy and obviously was on the football field a lot more and not had suffered multiple broken collarbones and obviously have had, multiple back injuries, he probably wouldn't have had an eventual Super Bowl. And by him just winning a Super Bowl, probably could have easily gotten him to maybe number 3 to number 2. But since he never really got to a Super Bowl or even an NFC championship for that matter, I love Romo, but it holds him back. But Romo should be proud to be knowing that he is literally the top 5 Dallas Cowboy quarterback of all time. Even for him to be number 4, that is not taking away from the accomplishments that he's done. He was an undrafted football player out of Eastern Illinois. Tell me, besides Jimmy G and Tony Romo, name another damn football player out of Eastern Illinois. And if you can name one, you're a god. You should deserve the highest football IQ of all time. Those are the only 2 players I know from Eastern Illinois. Like, it's not common to have a quarterback from like a Division 1 college, go into the NFL, take a franchise, and like run with it. You just don't hear that. The only other story are only 2 other stories, and that's Kurt Warner and Tom Brady. Like, so for Romo to be able to do what he did, you know, he is easily solidified himself as number 4. If he had won a Super Bowl and probably was a lot more on the football field and didn't get injured as much. Now, yet again, that is kind of picky because he did get surrounded by some bad offensive lines. There's no denying that. Some of the O lines early on in his career were atrocious, and that's just an understatement. None of them blocked. They probably were decent at the run blocking, but man, when it came out to the pass, they could not block for Romo. But Romo definitely will always have a number 4, but he will always be number 1 in my heart. If Romo had won a Super Bowl, he would be higher on this rank. But I already know my number 3 is going to make some people kind of look and judge this tier list. Now, I know a lot of people will be looking at this and they're saying, you have Drew Bledsoe on here? No, it's not Drew Bledsoe. I'm surprised they actually didn't retire this number. This is number 11, and it's Danny White. A lot of people are like, so Dennis, why in goddamn's name do you have Danny White at number 3 over Tony Romo, which Tony Romo is statistically? The thing about Danny White that a lot of people don't know, as much as he did have later in his career inconsistency, for him in the 80s and for how bad the Cowboys kind of were in the 80s, he did pretty good. And for him to actually have a 62-30 record, which is, yet again, it puts him in the top 5, which, is very good for him. And he has had thrown 143 touchdowns and has only thrown 132 interceptions. Yeah, that is still a lot of interceptions, but Troy Aikman threw 165 touchdowns and 141 interceptions. So, I mean, you're going to have your good seasons and you're going to have your bad seasons. And same thing with Troy Aikman. Even the greats have had their good seasons and their bad seasons, and Danny White is no exception to that. And the reason why he edged out Romo a lot is because he took us to an NFC championship with a crappy team. Romo didn't take us to an NFC championship. The latest that Romo took us was to a divisional round. And the latest would probably been 2014 when we had that big run and we literally fumbled the bag by Dez Bryant having to contest a catch to took us to the NFC championship. So for that reason, Roger and I think Danny White took us to, I think, 2 to maybe I don't remember exactly, but he did at least take us to 1 or 2 appearances in the NFC Championship. And for that, he edges out Romo, not statistically, but he edges him out by, I think, the compliments as a leader. And to have to be the successor to Roger, which is a very tough shoes to fill, I think Danny White did what he needed to do. And I think a lot of people, same thing with Eddie LeBron. I think Danny White is yet again another underrated quarterback that a lot of people just don't give a lot of credit and talk to. And I hope after this video, Danny White's name gets a lot more recognition. Oh, it's so tough to do this. I'm putting Roger Staubach at number 2. I know so many Cowboy fans are going to be so livid and pissed about that. I've had so many debating moments. Should I put Staubach at 1 or should I put him at 2? Troy Aikman and Roger to me alternate. Like they are easily our two best quarterbacks of all time. There is no denying that. You know, Roger had took us to 2 Super Bowls, gave us our first 2 Super Bowls, which should never go unnoticed. One against the Denver Broncos, and the first one was the Miami Dolphins, and the second one was the Denver Broncos. That should never ever go uncredited. And he was statistically a great quarterback. And for him to have, and even by the last season in 1980, he was so consistent throughout his whole career. And I was so torn on if I wanted to put him number 1 because of consistency and winning our first 2 Super Bowls. I know a lot of people are going to call this a hot take, and I know it sucks, but I have to. Being no surprise, Troy Aikman is to me the number 1 best quarterback of all time. I feel like as I'm kind of thinking more about it, I'm kind of not too mad about it by putting him at number 1. I think he has more yards than Roger. He has more touchdowns than Roger. He did throw a lot more interceptions than Roger, but he won 3 Super Bowls. And to give us to number 5, just Aikman just did a lot for the Cowboys team. And for him to be a number 1 overall draft pick and to come in and win 3 Super Bowls and to put a Hall of Fame career, that can't go unnoticed. And I think obviously Aikman should be recognized for it. And same thing with Roger. All these quarterbacks should be recognized for all the accomplishments they did for Dallas history. And I just think, for a person that we're going to remember for the long run, a lot of people recognize Troy Aikman a lot more than Roger. Not saying Roger doesn't get recognition and any, accreditation deserved, but Troy Aikman, has done, sports commentating for like the last I think 15. He retired in about like 2000, 2001, so it'll be about like 20, 21 years. He's been doing this for a long time, and I'm very pleased, to have him at number 1. And I know so many of you are going to be so torn with this because at the end of the day, I know I may rank these guys statistically from 5 to 1, but to be honest, like all these guys are great in their own right. I know a lot of people are going to probably be mad about Eddie LeBron being number 5, but I don't care. You can hate me for that. I just think the man deserves a lot more recognition than I think he gets. And if you want to be pissed about that, then fine, be pissed about that. But there you go, guys. There's the ranking right there. Please comment down below. Who do you think is the best quarterback of all time? Or give me your top 5 of Dallas Cowboys. And I swear to God, if I see Quincy Carter or Chad Hutchinson anywhere on that tier list, I'm going to literally ban your comment. I'm just letting you. I'm just throwing it out there. Those are 2 names I better not see on your damn tier list. Anyway, guys, this is Dennis Nicholson, the host of Hot Mike, signing out. Peace.